From being cannibals to being cursed, the royal family has some pretty scary secrets that you might not know of. Here are some of the scariest truths about the family, starting with the fact that they practiced black magic. I know what the first thought that comes to your mind when you hear this is, what? But believe it or not, this is all true. Although the royal family doesn't practice black magic anymore, they have a long history of doing so. And to be honest, according to a lot of conspiracy theorists, with the amount of secrets that the royal family keeps hidden, we're still not sure if they practice it to this day or not. And it's not like this is an ancient fact. Sources as recent as the 18th century have told people about the connection of the royal family and black magic. According to these sources, the royal family practiced black magic routinely for personal gains and to cause harm to their enemies. As if being the monarchs wasn't enough, they also need magic to inflict harm upon anyone that thinks ill of them. Some historians believe that this practicing of the dark arts was imported from Germany after the ascent of the House of Hanover back in 1714. Once these practices were introduced among the royal family, it only took a few years before they became the norm among the members. Although even back then they tried to keep it a secret to maintain their image in the public eye, the word always gets out one way or another. Scripts like the Key to Hell or Clavis Inferni were said to have become very common among the family. And while we're talking about spooky stuff, let me tell you about this next creepy fact about them. They are allegedly cursed. Not sure if any of you believe in curses and stuff like that or not, but this sure is pretty scary to think about and honestly kinda interesting too. So before you dream of becoming a part of the royal family for whatever reason, maybe think again because they're cursed. Okay, let me explain. The alleged curse goes back to the time of Shakespeare and was even hinted at in one of his most famous plays. Why was the curse put on them? Well, it's all because they came from the Bowes-Lyon family. If you don't know anything about the Bowes-Lyon family, they were an ancient Scottish family of aristocrats. They were based in the Glamis Castle. See the relationship between Shakespeare and this curse? Well, if you don't, this castle was mentioned in his play The Macbeth. For as long as people can remember, this castle has been rumored to hide some pretty creepy facts inside its walls. It was so bad that the Queen Mother's father, Claude Bowes-Lyon, said that if anyone knew the kind of curse they had and what the walls of the castle hid, they'd get down on their knees and thank God that the castle didn't belong to them. How did the curse come into the place? Well, allegedly, it's all because of an ancient ancestor that sold their soul to the devil. And since that day, the family has been cursed. Maybe the whole black magic thing ties together with this, won't you agree? Okay, this was creepy, but what I'm about to tell you is going to creep you out even more. Their ancestors were cannibals. What? Yep, I wish I was joking when I say this, but no, the British royal family had ancestors that were cannibals, and proud ones at that too. We've all heard people talk about how bad British food was, but damn, doesn't mean you start eating people, right? I wonder if they seasoned it with salt and pepper or ate humans with baked beans. What do you think? Anyways, back to the serious topic here. It's hard to believe this now because we live in the kind of world where cannibalism is illegal and looked down upon, thank God. But back then, that wasn't the case. Not for the royal family, at least. They indulged in feasting on human flesh regularly. The reason? To stay healthy or cure diseases. You have to understand that 300 years ago, there wasn't much understanding of medicine, not the way we have today. So, how do you make your liver healthy? By eating another person's liver. The practice lasted until the 19th century, and I wonder what finally made them stop. Oh, and if you were wondering, yes, they had favorites. The most commonly consumed parts were the brain, heart, livers, blood, and eyes. Yes, I said eyes. Sounds like a scene from a horror film, but nope. This is all in the history of the royal family. But at least they didn't kill people to eat them, right? Well, none that we know of. They got their human meat from bodies of dead soldiers or prisoners. While we're on the topic of the freaky things they used to eat, let's talk about some things they still eat that are sure to gross you out. They eat 7-year-old cake. Okay, not sure if if this is exactly scary or not, but it's definitely weird and, oh, it's gross. I mean, I get the sentiment behind it, kind of, but that doesn't change the fact that eating a cake that's almost a decade old is low-key weird. Won't you agree? It was the 9th of July back in 2018 at Prince Louis's christening at the St. James Palace in London when the royal family reminded the world of their weird tradition of eating old cake. The whole family, along with the guest, was served a cake that was baked 7 years ago. And not to mention, it was leftovers. But that's not because they couldn't afford a new one. It's because it's a sweet tradition among them. You see, the fruit cake that was served at this event was a saved tear from Prince William's wedding with Kate Middleton back in 2011. It was part of their wedding cake, and it was planned back then that this would be served at the christening. But you must be wondering, wouldn't a cake literally get stale and disgusting with fungus and whatnot after 7 years? Well, no. They weren't going to serve a fungus-infested cake at the event, now were they? So the cake was preserved with brandy, so it would last quite a few years. And according to sources, it did. But forget about cake. This next fact will definitely make you worried. The Queen uses her purse to send secret signals. This is scary because a normal person would never even know what's going on. To us, moving your purse from one arm to the other simply means that your hand got tired, but not when you're the Queen of England. In that case, changing your purse from one arm to the other, or even taking a certain object out of it, means one thing or the other. For example, if she moves her purse from one hand to the other, she's signaling to the guards that she's done with the conversation and would like to leave. Damn, she doesn't even have to say anything. Now, that's kind of cool, but also kind of scary. You would not want the Queen to signal that when you're talking to her, right? But going back to history, let's talk about this next fact: being friends with Hitler. You might not know this, but Edward VIII wasn't just known for leaving the throne for the love of his life. What I'm about to tell you guys is pretty freaky. I'm gonna be honest. King Edward was not only supportive of the Nazis, but was also very close friends with, yep, you guessed it, Hitler. When you think about that, you kinda don't really care about how he was abdicated from the throne because he wanted to marry an American divorcee. Not to mention, sources show that he even almost agreed to bombing England, and Hitler wanted to invade the country and use him as a puppet king. Yikes. And that was all about the scary truth about the royal family.
It's much smaller, isn't it? I mean, it was the same height.